Hi, and welcome to another episode of Abilene People, the podcast here on bigcountryhomepage.com, where we talk to the most interesting people in Abilene. And wowza. How do you say wowza in Italian? We got us one today. Pete Beretta, how are you, man?
What's up, brother? How you doing, Danny?
I'm good. So, Pete Beretta, you are Italian.
Oh, yeah.
But
100%.
you are also a Yankee from the Northeast. Can I say that? Is that a pejorative term?
Yeah, I was born there, lived for several years.
And you are also Californian.
Yeah, I was raised in California.
And you are also Texan.
Oh, I'm through and through, Danny. Through and through Texan. There's nothing like Texas.
I want to hear it all. Okay, so you were born in Rhode Island.
Yes.
But grew up in San Diego. So how did that happen?
My dad was a firefighter like myself, and he had all of a sudden contracted some problems with his knees. So he went to the doc and he said, "You got to get out of this climate." Well, my uncle was living in San Diego, California, and he said, "Well, come to California. You don't have to worry about snow here." And we did.
And, before I ever met you, my wife and I would take trips to San Diego, and they have a fantastic Little Italy Quarter in San Diego.
Oh,
fantastic.
The Italian Quarter, yeah.
The Italian Quarter. Fantastic restaurants, fantastic little miniature enclave of culture there. So a lot of Italians in San Diego, and that's where you grew up as a kid.
I grew up as a kid in San Diego. Sure did. And, tons of stuff to do. Beautiful climate.
Oh, yeah.
It's got the Mediterranean climate, so I can understand. And it was so funny because we went to the kids' house for this Christmas, Danny, and they were like, "It's too warm to be Christmas." And I'm like, there's little kids out there got brand new, but let them go on the skates. Let them get out there and have some fun. Because that's the way it was in San Diego. And I told them, I said, growing up, this is the kind of Christmases we had.
Yeah, last week in Abilene, it was San Diego weather.
It was San Diego weather. Sure was.
Yeah. So I know that you and I have talked previously about just some of your life in San Diego and a lot of fun, but I suspect you've always had fun. I mean, that's just kind of your vibe. That's your ethos in life. Your personality. You're a fun guy.
And the most fun, Danny, and I think this is why you and I kind of cut up all the time, is seeing other people laugh.
Yeah.
Seeing other people do well, seeing other people succeed. I think we were put on this planet to help one another.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's always fun when you see somebody else smiling. Like TC over there, he very rarely smiles.
Yeah, he doesn't. It's a real problem. Yeah. It's a real problem. You've told me one time that you wanted to be a fireman when you were a little boy. You always knew you wanted to be a fireman. Your dad was a fireman. You already mentioned that. Yep. So you caught that bug early. How little were you when you said, "I'm going to be a fireman"?
About 4 or 5 years old.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
and it never changed.
Never changed. Some kids, like I was talking to my granddaughters. One week they want to be a nurse. The next week they want to be a lawyer. Then they want to be a vet. I knew from when I was a little kid that, I got to be a fireman.
And you joined the service, the Air Force, because there's a fire academy in the service.
Right. It was so funny because when I graduated from high school, I went to our local fire department and said, "Hey, I want to work here." And they said, "Well, how old are you?" And I said, 18. Well, at the time, they were taking people 21. And my heart was broken, Dan. So I went home and my dad's like, "Well, join the military." Well, he didn't specify. So you're growing up in San Diego. There's only 2 branches you're going in, the Navy or the Marines. It's a Navy town. So I went and talked to the Navy. Nope, we don't have a fire department. Talked to the Marines. Nope. Talked to the Army. Nope. Talked to the Air Force and went, "Yeah, we're looking for firemen right now." And they had a real fire academy, 4 months long. So I went home and I told my dad. My dad went, "Well, I should have told you. That's where I started." And then I got out and went to the Providence Fire Department. And that's exactly what I've done, only here in Abilene.
So you were a fireman in the Air Force and then got transferred to Dyess, and that's how you got to Abilene. And I've heard you talk about that before, that, it wasn't too long you figured out, this is where I want to live the rest of my life.
Oh, it was hilarious. When I got my orders and they said, "You're going to Abilene," and I went, "Kansas?" I didn't realize there were 2. And they went, "No, Texas." And I went, "Well, I've never been to Texas. This might be the people here." And the young guys, I was out at Dyess, and I was here maybe 2-3 weeks. And I said, if I never get orders, I'm never leaving. And the young guys from California that were stationed out there are like, are you nuts? There's nothing to do here. But you're not going to find people like this. It's these people that make this town. And I got hooked. 2 weeks after I was done at Dyess, I was in Abilene Fire Department going through their academy.
So you got out of the Air Force and knew that you wanted to hook up with the Abilene Fire Department.
I wanted it. And so we tried, and
boom.
good Lord willing.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So were they looking for firemen, or you walked in the door and they said, we're not looking, and once they saw you, said, oh my God, we got to hire this guy because look at him, he's an Adonis. It's Pete Beretta, you know. I mean, we gotta get this guy. Where's
back
the
when I had hair? That's a nice head of hair you got. No, it was perfect timing because I went down to the fire station, start talking, and they handed me a piece of paper. And they said, here's an application. Back then you stopped by the fire station to pick up an application. He said, fill it out because they've got a test coming up. And you can take the test and see what happens from there.
You know what's funny? When Chief Cande Flores was on the podcast a few weeks ago. He told me the story that he took the test because a buddy was going to take the test, and the buddy didn't want to take it alone. The buddy never became a fireman, and now Cande Flores is our chief fireman.
Next time you see him, say, hey, Chief, I heard Beretta's got your sports car in his garage.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds like a story.
The black mitts? Oh, yeah. We were both stationed at number 6 on different shifts, and I pull into the station one day, and I see this black mitts, and I'm looking, oh, my God, it's gorgeous. So I walk in the station, I went, yo, whose Mitsubishi is that out there? That 3000 belongs to Cande. So I go up to Cande. And I said, Cande? And he wasn't a chief then.
Oh, yeah. He's just a guy, right?
He's a lieutenant like me. And I said, Cande, I'm going to own that car someday. And he went, no way. You ain't getting my car. And I would keep bugging him and go, Pete, my fiance loves that car more than I do. I said, you wait one day. And it's a 95. Well, a little time goes by and he gets married. And I went, that car's mine. That car is mine.
You knew
Cande.
he was going to trade cars.
And he said, no way. You're never getting that car. And well, about a year later, he came bebopping him. And he said, Pete. And I went, yeah, brother, what's up? And he goes, you still want that car? My wife's pregnant.
So he had to get a minivan.
He went and got a minivan, and I got his sports car. I've had it since 2000.
Yeah, I love that car. It's a slick car. I had no idea that was Cande Flores' car.
Yep, it started out as Cande's, and I'm the second owner.
Well, man, that's perfect for Cande because that's a sweet story. So how long were you a fireman in the Air Force, and now how long were you a fireman for Abilene?
Yeah, altogether 32 years.
Oh, wow.
4 years in
So
the
you
Air
started
Force.
when you were 6 years old. That's fantastic. It's incredible. I mean, really, that you were a child fireman.
It's the Centrum Silvers. That's what does it.
This is an unpaid advertisement.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Maybe they'll send us a check. Hey.
So yeah, you've been a fireman for a long time, but then you transitioned when you retired into being a weatherman, and that story's kind of funny because you had a career in radio.
We were doing
did radio.
Yes. Matter of fact, David and Bacon and I, from KRBC, this was back when he was still a sports director for KTAB. He was working a morning show.
Yeah, I remember.
At a station out in Ty, Texas. Now,
okay, I remember when he was downtown Abilene. It might have been the same station, but yeah, out in Ty.
Yeah, they changed the call letters to KTLC. It's now Y99. But it was my first shot at radio back in the early 80s. And the guys they'd give me fits because, I was just happy to be working at a radio station. And they would tune in, and it was, Glenn Miller. It was Paul Marriott and 101 Strings. They called it geriatric rock. And I went, I don't care. I'm at the radio station. I enjoy it. It's fun. And we did that part-time all through our, fire department career. We fill in on a weekend here. Or, Peter, you going to be off on this day? Yeah. Can you fill in here? And yeah, we just had more fun.
You've had a great voice, I guess, your whole life because it is a really beautiful baritone quality that you have to your voice. And
thank you, Danny.
Well, you're welcome, Pete. You've done VO work, professionally. You've done books and audio work. What's that like?
The audio books kind of just happened. We decided to try out for it. One of the guys when I was working at Keene one of the guys said, you should be doing voice work. And I went, I have no clue. Well, I started investigating it, and Audible takes talent, matches them up with the publisher or the author, and see if it's a fit. So I got into that, and I loved it. I loved it. A buddy of mine, Chuck Galco, he has the same kind of a deal going, and I said, Chuck, you got to get into this audiobook thing. And he did. Well, now he's doing, he's got commercials running on our grit station. He's doing well. He just finished a video game, voiced a video game. He's doing real well with it. I just kind of fell back into weather more than anything.
You didn't really pursue it. You didn't dive into the deep end with it because of the second career as a weatherman. And I want to talk about that because you're fun on camera, you're natural on camera, and I think that's because your idea is like you talk about just having fun with people, and what you get is what you give, and that's your vibe on camera, right?
Yeah, and I think Danny the weatherman's in a spot where he can make, because let's face it, when the news anchors are up there, sometimes they talk about some really bad stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe the weather guy will have the opportunity to make it just a little bit more palatable, a little bit easier to take. And when you see people out there and they come up and they chat with you, they go, you make the news a little bit better. It's not really trying to make it better. It's just put a little energy and a little positivity into it. Of course, when it gets serious is when we get severe.
Yeah.
And then no more playing. No more playing. The bells just went off. Let's go.
Yeah, a little bit like the fire.
Yeah.
So the firemen. So it's got to be hard in a summertime when no clouds, no heat break, no rain in forecast, and every day it's a low of 78 and a high of 97. Tomorrow, the forecast is low of 78 and a high of 97. And now let's look at the 7-day, where your weekend's always in sight.
Yeah.
Highs in the 70s and lows in the 70s. You know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
It gets so boring, I can't even say it now. How do you deal with that?
Well, you almost run out of ways to say hot.
See, that's where your Italiano comes in.
Yeah, I wish I could remember some Italian words for hot.
I don't think we should try, but it would be interesting.
I'll have
we
to
could try in
Google
the digital studio, but not live on TV. How about that?
But yeah, you just get into our summer pattern. It's our typical summer pattern, and you just got to realize that it's going to be this way for another 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, and it is.
Yeah,
but it is. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's a little bit like the guys told you, there's nothing to do here. Well, there is stuff to do here.
Oh yeah, now there is
appreciate
tons.
the people. Well, now it's all different.
Yeah.
But the weather is terrible. Well, not all year long. It can be terrible for a few weeks in the heat, and maybe for a few days in the winter. But other than that, it's pretty pleasant.
Yeah, and that's the neat thing about living here is we get all 4 seasons. Abilene's the best kept secret in Texas. It really is. And we're smack dab in the middle of the state. But yeah, we get all 4 seasons. It's going to get hot in the summer. It's going to get cold in the winter. In fall, the leaves are going to come down. And in spring, we're going to have severe thunderstorms.
So, Pete, I want to go back to your Italian heritage. Famous for the food. I'm sure you have some favorite Italian dishes. Are they niche Italian dishes or are they the kind of Italian dishes that I would enjoy? For example, my family, our new tradition is on holidays, we have lasagna, homemade lasagna.
Oh, yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But, lasagna is kind of like a bologna sandwich for Italians, right? I mean, it's kind of average, right?
Depending on how you make it. Matter of fact, I was cooking sauce before we came up here, big pot of sauce. I like to do a 3-cheese 4 meat. And, depending on how you make it. Plus, there's not a whole lot of people in my house, so you make a lasagna like the Italians make a lasagna. That's a meal for 3 days.
Yeah.
You're going to be eating on it for 3 days. But, yeah, but the funny thing about that, you say that. When I was at Keene Radio, I worked my morning show partner for about 9 years. His name was Rudy Fernandez. Now, this man's last name ends in a Z. My last name ends in a vowel. He's Hispanic. I'm Italian. When we went out to dinner, we take our wives out to dinner, he's always getting Italian food, and I'm always getting Tex-Mex.
Now, that's funny. That's funny.
It's funny as can be.
That's really funny. Okay, the other stereotype about Italians is I'll put it this way: is the reason The Godfather is one of the classic movies of all time, and the reason The Sopranos is one of the classic series of all time. And, and that's the Cosa Nova, the mafia, does that wear you slick a little bit that people attribute all of that to Italians, or is it just a part of the culture to you and it's kind of like gray noise and you don't care?
The only people I ever met in the mob we had gone back to Rhode Island for my grandmother and grandfather's 50th wedding anniversary. And we're all sitting in the hall and, we're eating all this food, the antipasto. I mean, everything was good. And all of a sudden, these two big guys come walking in. And then they just kind of split the tide. And in comes this little Italian guy. And you could tell the big guys were Goombas. And I'm looking and I'm like, huh. And one of the guys sitting next to me, a distant cousin, said, yeah, he's in the business.
So he was there for the party?
That's a real guy. Huh?
And he was there for the party?
Yeah, he knew my grandfather from somewhere. My grandfather was an upholsterer, so there was no way he was, but he knew him from somewhere, and he came.
Pete, that's a classic.
Oh, and and my wife went, are they really? I don't know. I've never seen any before. That's the first ones I ever seen, but look how big those guys are.
So, but the big guys came in first, and then it was a small guy, and it was the small guy was the boss.
Was the boss,
okay.
Yeah, or the capo or whatever.
Yeah,
he was the one in charge of that little crew.
Yeah. So you ever go back to Rhode Island?
I haven't been back there ever since, probably 15 years. I haven't gone back there because there's nobody back there living anymore that I remember, Everybody's moved out or different places, or it's just not the same going back just to see.
You ever go back to San Diego?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, my daughter is living in San Diego. She lives in one of the suburb towns, Santee. And so, and she's always on me, when you coming? When you coming? When you coming? And I'm like, honey, I'm working. I just can't put everything down and,
Yeah.
So she understands, but yeah.
And I know you know this, but I'll mention it for the sake of the conversation, so anybody watching the podcast or listening will know. But my son, as you know, lives in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
and so we go out to the West Coast, and we'll go down to San Diego. Spend most of our time in L.A. But people will occasionally say to me, man, how can your son live in California? They think of the cost, or they think, it's this or that, and it is. The cost of living is more. But I got to tell you, once you see the beauty of California, you realize why so many people live there. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah,
and I don't know that there's any place much more beautiful than that section just north of San Diego. What's that, La Jolla?
Oh, yeah.
All of that, man.
La Jolla is beautiful, especially
gorgeous.
right on the beach there.
Just
La Jolla.
Gorgeous,
Yeah, when you go to San Diego, you take your wife. You said you've been to the Del?
Yeah.
That's a nice hotel, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
very nice. Very nice.
Did you take the ghost tour?
No, I did not take the ghost tour. I did not. I should, but everything about San Diego to me is beautiful. But what I've done a ghost tour down in the gas lamp district. And walk around, and there's somebody.
Whaley House.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's a guy down there rolling cigars, and
Did you see the glass blowers? They're blowing.
Yeah,
glass.
blowing glass. Yeah, all of that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that yet in Abilene, but maybe someday. You never know.
Yeah.
Get
Pickpockets. Two big guys and a little guy comes in.
It's not.
You got to watch out for those guys. And so what I always do, my protection is I'll say, hey, Pete Beretta? And then, he's an insider. He's one of us.
Oh, damn.
He's one of us. Leave the guy alone. He's one of us, right?
How you doing?
How you doing, man? Yeah. So if you could, would you ever live in San Diego again? Or are you thinking, no, man, Abilene's it?
Yeah, because when I grew up, where I grew up in San Diego, it was a lot like Abilene when I first got here. And there was a lot of rural area. And, of course, Abilene's in a growth spurt right now, obviously.
Yeah, right.
But, I mean, you go back there now, and it's like a little Los Angeles. There's no place, cars everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I hope Abilene doesn't get as bad as that, but we're in a growth spurt. We got to.
Yeah. In fact, if you drive, I know you know this, but if you drive from San Diego proper south to the border,
Yeah.
you never leave city now. It's
No.
all city.
Everything's city.
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened? Where's the mountain? These used to be just hills with nothing.
And now, boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's the future of Abilene. And that's a good place for us to kind of head toward conclusion of the conversation, just kind of what you think about Abilene and what you think about the future of Abilene. You know, because Abilene, as you said, we're in a growth spurt. And managing growth is hard for our civic leaders, for the people in charge of all of that and that plan all of that. You know, we can criticize those people all we want, but that's a hard job with all these data centers coming and all.
Oh, yeah.
Would you want Abilene to have a huge growth explosion and become a bigger city? Or are you concerned Abilene might lose some of the appeal?
I wouldn't be surprised if someday, Danny, we end up the size of Lubbock. And I have a lot of confidence in the people that do the planning, like you say, how important it's going to be to make sure we got our roads are right and our our infrastructure is going to be pretty important. But dynamite comes in little packages, and just because we're from Abilene, Texas, don't put it past those people doing the planning that they can't get it right.
Yeah.
I've seen them get it right. Plus, we're a conservative Christian community. I mean, how many nonprofits have you been involved with, right?
It's incredible.
You're not going to find that anywhere else.
Yeah. And, you know, former city councilman Steve Savage was on the podcast a couple of 3 months ago. And
I saw that.
He said something interesting. I'd never heard this. I'd never even thought of this. We were talking about what you want for Abilene. He said, I would love to see Texas Tech go beyond the nursing school and the pharmacy and have a branch of the 4U University right here in Abilene. And you think about that. We've got TSTC, we've got Cisco Junior College, we've got ACU, McMurray, and Hardin-Simmons. Well, I wonder with the growth, if it's not a possibility that we could have a state university here, maybe a branch of Texas Tech. I mean, that wouldn't be that bad.
We've already got one of their credit unions here. There's a credit union on Catclaw here. I'm very optimistic, very positive, and very hopeful. The growth part, as it's actually doing the growth part, is tough because there's a lot of things moving, big trucks, and
it's something, man. I don't know if you've run into them, but when you're driving, a few weeks ago, Suzanne and I went up to Albany and took that Highway 351.
Yeah.
And that data center being built up there in Shackelford County, the truck traffic was just mind blowing.
Yeah.
And of course, Travis and I had the privilege of touring the Abilene data center out on the west side of town. Oh man, Pete, it was crazy. It's a miniature city out there, and it's just mind boggling. 8 large structures, buildings. I would say, Travis, help me out here. I would say each one of those is like the size of 3 or 4 Sam's Clubs, each one, and there's 8 of them.
No way.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I would say so. Now, see, that's something you have to say, really, TC, because you don't believe me. You know, you think I'm lying. I'm lying right over here. I'm just telling lies, one after another. Yeah, I say something, you fact check me. You're having to fact check me, that's just it cuts hard. It cuts to the cut.
I don't want to cut you, brother.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean,
I don't want to cut.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, give me the knife. All right, so I want to ask you, when we talk about the future of Abilene, you're here. You're here to stay. You love Abilene. That's great to hear. That's wonderful. Would you ever consider owning and running the TV station? Because I think that's about to come your way. Is it possible?
I don't know if I could pay the electric bill, Danny. It's going to be more than $1 or $2. We're going to put solar panels on the roof, guys.
But think of the challenges there. The people that don't see the inside of this business. They have no idea. Think of the challenges there. All of the minutia and all of the administrivia involved in running. We have 3 TV stations and a website.
Yep.
And our general manager's over the same in San Angelo.
Yep.
And now Midland.
Yep.
And now our parent company, Nexstar Media, is buying Tegna, which means the Fox station here in town. I mean, it never ends. So, that part of the business, man, I don't want anything to do with that.
No, it's too much.
Too much.
I don't even think I'd want to be a department head. I'll show up and do my job, tell you if it's going to rain or not.
And do you enjoy that part of the job, like in front of the green screen?
You know what makes it so great is not necessarily the interaction with the people, but the interaction with the people here.
Yeah.
You know, because there's days sometimes I'll say, I don't want to go to work today. And then I get here and I start saying hi to guys. Well, like our employee.
Yeah, right.
There.
Yeah, employee of the year.
Yeah, got to throw that in. Way to go, buddy.
Yeah.
Did you pay everybody?
Yeah. No, he still owes me 10. That's what I got. What'd you get, 10 or 20?
20.
Yeah,
He
20.
owes me 20.
Okay, there we go. So, yeah, you have your little spot there in the studio in front of the green screen. Then you get to go over and talk to the anchors. But it's in the hallways interacting with characters. Because TV station's full of characters, you know?
Yes, it is.
We
yes,
need,
sir.
We need
look at you.
Hey, man, King Character 1. But we need a TV show called The Station, kind of like The Office, you know?
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Would you want to play yourself, or would you want someone to be cast as Pete Beretta?
No, I'll play myself. I'll dye my hair and everything.
Okay. All right, because I was thinking, for me, I don't know, Brad Pitt. I'm thinking Brad Pitt to play me. I mean, that's what I'm just thinking.
Oh, you're talking about big names.
Well, I'm just thinking if we're gonna cast a show, I'm just I'm saying for you, James Caan,
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. Sonny's
who by the way, played Sonny in The Godfather.
Sonny's got it.
And James Caan, not Italian.
No,
isn't that crazy?
no, he's not Italian.
It's funny. That's a funny. And
But he played it well.
Played it well. What a great show. All right. So you know what? It's nothing to do with anything, but I'm curious. The Godfather or Goodfellas?
Ooh. Oh man, that's tough. I laughed more during Goodfellas.
Oh yeah, well, who couldn't? Joe Pesci the whole time.
Yeah,
the whole time.
Yeah, him and Leota. I know it's almost like they're two different kinds of movies. One was a little bit more funny and a little bit more modern, and then you got I got to go with The Godfather.
Yeah, I do too.
I got to go with The Godfather, even though I love The Goodfellas. I love it. And this new one that Stallone's doing, Tulsa King.
Yeah, yeah. We
Oh,
saw the first season. I haven't followed it after that. All right. Well, one of the Goodfellas of all of the world, and certainly here in Abilene, the Godfather of fun. That's what we say about Pete Beretta. Is there a better guy in the world? Well, if there is, I'd like to meet him. Is there a funnier guy in the world? I don't know. I don't know that I can handle that. Yeah.
You keep things. You're the spark plug here.
Thanks for coming on the podcast, man. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. And when will we see you on TV again? Of course, by the time people watch this, they may have missed it, but you're online on KRBC tonight. Right? And
then I'll be live on the TV station Fridays and Sundays.
On the linear side, that's still on KRBC.
On KRBC.
Yeah, okay, great. All right. Well, there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, Pete Beretta, and we do want to give
Danny.
Hey, man. Well, look, Pete Beretta, that's how I looked it up. That's Pete Beretta is Italian.
Half hour we've been talking?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, half hour.
Whoa.
Yeah. Pete Beretta is Italian for fun. I looked it up. Yeah. So you don't even know. Pete Beretta. All right. So I wanted to give a shout out to our ace producer, Travis Corrigan, who always keeps it going for us. He is Employee of the Year, and he does owe me 10. Apparently, he owes Pete Beretta 20. And I want to say thank you for joining us here on Abilene People, where we always have Abilene's most interesting people. Today, certainly, maybe the most interesting of all, Pete Beretta. And join us next time, because I guarantee you, more bang for your buck right here when we have our next guest. I'm not sure who that'll be, but I guarantee you they will be one of Abilene's most interesting people. I'm your host, Danny Sims. Thank you, and we will see you next time.